Hello everyone, I'm Denise Love, and I thought today that we could take a little updated studio tour while I answer a few of the most common questions that I get. So let's get started. So I thought I would start by showing you the largest change in my studio, which is this whole corner of the room, which is the one that sits right next to the art table that I film at. So what I did, as you came in this room, it used to be mostly a big dark gray backdrop on the wall where the bookcases are, and it was my photo corner, and I filmed photo workshops over there, and I had a bigger table with a really beautiful wood finish on it that was antique, and the table took up 3/4 of the room because it was so huge, but I just loved it. And so I've taken the table out and I've put a little fold-up square table there. It's not as pretty as the antique wood top table, but it's more functional for what I do now in the studio. So that's pulled up to the window so I can still use it as a little photo corner. And if we get a little closer to that, you can see I've kind of just piled stuff onto the table there, and I'll take photos in the natural light coming in the window. And then I also have still in that window a scrim, which kind of filters out the sunlight for me, so it's not direct sun on the things I'm photographing. And then I have lots of ceramic palettes there, and I kind of collect those, but I collect them more as photography props in this kind of instance, because I'll usually have a palette sitting in the picture with the art supplies, creating a whole scene and telling a whole story. But I do use them also for watercolors mostly, because then they're easy to clean up. But I like having handmade objects, antique objects, decorative things to kind of fluff out my photos when I take pictures of the art. So photography is still quite a big part of what I do, but it's more of the let me show you what I'm working on aspect rather than let me teach you how to take this photo aspect. So that's a big change here in my studio for that wall, because now I can take everything off the table and I can work on that table too, because it's a flat surface, whereas the antique wood table was not flat. And then I actually, the wall here, where I took the backdrop down, I have now made it my library of books, and they go from interior design books to inspiration books to art books to all the magazines that I don't wish to throw away there at the bottom. And I had a book wall there before, years ago, and I used to sit there to film welcome videos and things, but it looked so busy. And so I took that down and changed it to the black backdrop, and now I've taken the black backdrop down and pulled the books back into this room, because the books were taking over every room of the house. Just every surface I could stack a book on, I had book stacks sitting on. And so now I'm super excited to have all the art books back in the art studio and reclaiming some other spaces in my house. And these bookcases were inspired by a Pinterest pin that I found, and I'll pop a little photo up of that pin to see where my inspiration started. And I did change my inspiration up a little bit. They had inspiration boards kind of tacked to the wall where you can make mood boards up above their bookcases, and I'm not really a mood board person. I wanted to be. I've tried to create some, but it's not really my thing. And so I thought this would be a better use of my space if I put a ledge shelf up above the bookcase, and then I could stack whatever interesting things, pieces of art, books, frames that I wanted to stack above that. And you can see, it's just a little ledge there that things can sit on, and then I can change things out. And you can see I've got the yummy art journals that I can work on, and I've got some things that are coming up in YouTube videos that I really liked, and so they're kind of displayed up here. Of course, I've got my yummy Klimt books up here because I'm just obsessed with Gustav Klimt and all his patterns and working his patterns into our work. So I kind of wanted to keep that handy where I could just grab it when I needed some fresh inspiration or I was working on something new. And one of the things I like about this set of bookcases is that it is propped up on feet. and I'll try not to move the camera too much here, but it's propped up on feet. And so I live in a 50-year-old townhouse. So this is the upstairs level of the townhouse, and anything that's 50 years old is not going to be straight anymore. So the floors, you know, they're wavy or they're sloped, or they, you know, they take one direction or another as your house ages. And what I love about these bookcases is they're on the feet, and I could adjust all the feet so that the bookcases were level. So when you get to the very top, and I've got 3 bookcases there spanning the amount of space that I had, they all look level. And so I absolutely love this solution for this wall. So I got these off of Amazon. I'll link those below just in case you're looking for something fun like that. These, I believe, only cost me, I want to say about $150 a bookcase, which I thought was super reasonable compared to most of the bookcases that you can find out there, or the ones that are made from furniture companies. And so this was a very nice, budget-friendly way to house all my books and art and be inspired as I walked in the room. And I love this change. And now having the smaller table, I feel like I've kind of opened up the entire room here of floor space that I can do other projects and just kind of work on things, and I can walk around the room, and just really opened it up a lot for me, because it's not a big bedroom. It's like a spare room here in my condo. And then I have wood floors down in this room, because at some point there was carpet and I knocked over a bunch of orange paint and I was like, oh my goodness, never getting that paint out of there. And so at some point I did put the wood floors down, but then the room echoed, and I thought, oh, I can't have echoes in every video. So that's why there are some cheap throw rugs on the floor that will soak up the sound. And that's a little tip for you if you're filming in a room or a basement or somewhere that's got all hard surfaces. Put down some inexpensive rugs to help soak up the noise and the sound and the bounce and the echo that you're going to be creating, not having any soft surfaces in the room. So one of the questions I get a lot of is, how do I store my stencils? And if it's a larger stencil, or stencils that I can put a whole bunch in one kind of clear sleeve, I will store those here on these yummy skirt hangers. These are like pant hangers and skirt hangers, and then just kind of drape it there on a knob. I might eventually put like a hook on the wall, or a hook on that white chest that's kind of sitting in the corner. Might put a hook on the side of that and hook those on the side of that. But that holds a ton of stencils. There's probably 5 or 6 stencils in each of those clear sleeves, and then I just have those hooked with the clips there on each hanger, and then the hangers kind of hook on each other, so they take up practically no space at all. And then you can kind of flip through and see, what can I have and want to use today. The other solution that I have for smaller stencils, it's kind of sitting under the table, but you see little clear totes there. So the small stencils are just kept in a tote, along with stamps and the papers that have texture to it, like the cardboard and the bubble wrap. So those are nice and easy just to store, kind of where I can get to them pretty easy, and then pull them out and use what I'm looking for. If it's not something that I want to grab on a regular basis, then I store it in one of my art closets. Another thing that I get an absolute ton of questions about, and private messages asking about my filming setup, and how it is that I have the camera mounted, and how do I keep it all steady without the table moving, and how do I light the surfaces. And so this is the table that I sit at when I'm talking to you every day, and you're seeing my hands in the videos. Here's where I'm sitting, and I think it's kind of fun to get to see a little behind the scenes, so you can be like, oh, I know what she's grabbing for, I know what's sitting up there in front of her. So this has turned out to be the most efficient, basically perfect setup for 98% of the things that I'd want to do. Now, if I'm doing a great big piece of art, or if I choose to work on a canvas that's larger, cradle board, this wouldn't be the perfect setup for that. This gives me about, I'd say 3 feet of space, because that table is a 4-foot table. So you can see there's a little bit of room on each end of the table there with stuff stacked on it. But it gives you about 3-ish feet of space to work in, which is perfect for really anything up to say 18 by 24 could easily fit on that. And then bigger than that, you wouldn't see the whole surface. And the big U-shaped thing here on the table is my Glide Gear tabletop tripod, and I'll link these things in below the video for you if you're interested in something like that. It has been the absolute perfect setup to film down the things that I want to film. And then right in the middle there, I've got my camera hooked up to it, and I still have the camera on it. You can film on an iPad, you can film on an iPhone, you can film on basically any camera that you choose to use. I chose a mirrorless Lumix G7 camera to film on because I was filming early workshops, because I've dabbled in the art workshops for 7 or 8 years. I just didn't focus 100% on it like I do now. And I was filming on my iPhone and my iPad. And after filming like 3 or 4 or 5 workshops, and then filming something and missing whole sections of what I was doing because for whatever reason it didn't film, I didn't hit the button right, it ran out of memory or whatever, and I missed whole aspects of a project and didn't even know it till I went to film it, and by then it's too late to fix it. I got so disgusted I went to the camera store that used to be downtown, and there was a camera rep in there, and I didn't realize he worked for a specific vendor, but I'm like, look, here's what I'm doing. What do I need? How can I fix this problem I'm having? And the camera rep sold me that camera. He's like, this one's great for what you want. It can film 1080p. It can film up to 4K. You can change out the lenses. You can switch out the batteries for, you know, if you're filming longer, and it's going to be very versatile, and you're going to be able to really use this for many years. And I'm like, sold. And it's kind of a medium range camera. I would not say it's a pro camera. It was probably in the $600 or $700 range with a lens on it. So I'll try to link that one or the newer version below the video, because I actually have several of that camera now, because one of them I used until I basically broke it. One of them is the replacement for that. And then the third camera is so I can do 2 camera filming for some classes and things. Sometimes you want more than 1 camera angle, so I have it for a second camera angle. The only thing that I don't like about those cameras, and I think those are maybe Panasonic Lumix maybe. What I don't like about them is when you're shooting talking heads, like when I'm standing in front of the camera, it's very hard to keep yourself in focus. Like the focus, it says it follows you, but it really doesn't. Sometimes it'll focus on the background, sometimes it'll focus on your head. Let me tell you how frustrating it is if you do a whole, hey, welcome to my class video, and you get down to edit it and you realize that you're in blur and your background's in focus. And so just this year, I have switched over to a Sony blogging camera, which is the camera I'm actually filming this on, and it is known for its super fast focusing. And so if I had known this early on, this might have been my filming camera for all my classes and my talking heads, because now my talking heads are fantastic. I'm in focus the whole time. It's known for its super fast focus, and I love it. It also, for the ladies out there, has a slight skin smoothing feature so that your skin looks prettier in the video. And let me tell you, I freaking love that too, because the older you get, the more help you need, and it's fantastic. So I will link this in the video, all down below the video also, because it has turned out to be my favorite, and it's tiny. It like fits in the palm of my hand. It's a little tiny camera. So on each side of the table, I've got 2 ring lights, and that is enough light for me to film in the day or the night. And you'll notice today I'm kind of by a window, and the sun is coming in the window. And this is morning. It's before about 11 o'clock in the morning when I'm talking to you guys right now. And so it's a sunny day, so a lot of light's coming in. But that's not how it is on rainy days, cloudy days, at night. So I definitely need this extra lighting in the evening especially, and it's turned into like the very best task lighting I've ever had. So these are 18-inch LED ring lights. They run in the $100 per light range, but 2 of those lights have been like the perfect setup, and I like them over box lights because they take up practically no room. They're not taking up half my room with the box itself, because I started off with box lights, and then I ran into them more times than I can count because I'm clumsy, and they've got these great big light bulbs in them, and if you knock it hard enough, you'll bust a light bulb, and it's just a pain at how big they were in this little space. So those are packed up in the closet and they never come out anymore, and this is my very favorite filming setup. So another question I get under practically every video that I do, somebody asked, do I fix my paintings with a fixative? And I have a whole video on preserving artwork that I'll link below this video. And for the most part, most things that I create, I do not fix. If it's acrylic paint, that's pretty good like it is, or you could use like the Gamvar varnish on it if you wanted, probably. If you're doing oil paintings, the Gamvar varnish is a great thing. If I'm doing works on paper, I'm normally storing those in clear art sleeves, a little bit smaller than the ones I'm storing my stencils in. My stencils are stored in clear music sleeves because they're a little bigger than the pieces of art are. So if you get a 9x12 sleeve, some of these stencils are a little bigger than that. And so I have found that the music sleeves are perfect for the stencils. So I'll put that in the links below. But for the art, I store those in clear art sleeves, and if they've got oil fixative or soft pastels, oil pastels or soft pastels, then I use that fixative right there, the Sennelier. You've got the oil and the soft. And so that's generally the only time I will spray a fixative on the paper pieces. And that's mainly because I don't sell artwork to other people. That's not my goal. My goal is to create and have reasons to show up and share all the fun things I like to do and discover and play in and enjoy the process. And I feel like when you sell artwork, you're kind of conforming into what's going to sell, who's your target market, what can I create, what collections can I create that are going to be popular, and you're always kind of chasing that approval from your collectors, like, oh, new collection out and things like that. And I feel like it almost stifles me to have that burden. And so I have figured out ways to be an artist and make a living, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, without actually selling the art that I create, which I think is pretty darn cool. So most of the things I store in sleeves, and I do not fix them unless they've got the pastels on them, because the soft pastels, that's powder that flakes everywhere and smears immediately. The oil pastels, they never really seem to dry unless you hit them with that fixative, which will then harden it up. And I do that outside because the fixatives stink. So I thought I'd show you real quick before I open my prop closet. I'd show you some little rolly carts. So most of the stuff that I do, I store in the cabinet over here beside me. In this dresser, which is a bedroom dresser. It matches the bedroom set that's in the other room that I have. But most of the stuff I store over here in this dresser. And the first time I showed you the dresser in the other studio tour, it was kind of packed with whatever I could fit in it. And then the more art classes I make, the more I'm like, oh, I need some stuff that I'm really grabbing all the time to be right here where I can grab it out of this drawer and put it on the table while I'm working. So I have kind of rearranged what goes in these drawers. And because I've packed them so full and I don't want to bust the cabinet at any point, I'm super careful with opening and closing and not rough on the cabinet. And in this top drawer here are all the acrylic paints, the So Flats, the little mineral acrylic paints, the Amsterdam and Liquitex and everything, the little Blick matte paints, they all kind of live right here in this top drawer, which, man, super convenient. And then the bottom drawer holds all of my pastels, my watercolors by Kuretake, and all that kind of stuff that I grab in like 80% of my videos live in that drawer. And then the other drawers are the extra overflow. So coming back over to this corner, the rolling carts have been fantastic because I can store a few other things on those carts that I might want to have in grabbing level, like close enough for me to grab while I'm doing a video. And I can just put the other things like pens and paintbrushes and maybe pencil sets that used to live in this drawer now live on one of these rolling carts. And if I feel like I'm going to need any of the extras that I have on those carts, I can roll the cart right over to my desk and I can roll it back in the corner out of the way when I'm done. Those are invaluable to have in your art room, and I will try to find a link for some rolling carts also, or you can get them at your local hobby store, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann Fabrics, anywhere that sells a lot of crafting materials generally will have some of these, but I'll also link some for you. And those have been fantastic. I love having that. So I'm going to roll one of those out of the way so I can get in that closet. I basically cleaned off this metal shelf that lives in the closet, and now this top shelf is my filming equipment, extra tripods. I've got my microphone there for when I'm filming screencasts and stuff, but it's given me a space to now store all this filming stuff that basically started piling up around the room as I discovered new things, and I thought, ooh, let me try that. And then the props for the photography stuff kind of lives a little further down because I did keep all my favorite stuff. And at the bottom I've got lots of old books and papers, and so I do like having some of it, but I didn't feel like I needed all of the props that I used to have. And then I just did like a whole little, hey, all my photography friends, come over here and see which of these props you want to test out for a while. And so I didn't throw any away, and they are going to good use. And now I feel like I have just my favorite things still in the photography props. And then you'll notice these clear Rubbermaid totes right here. And that is where I store most of the paper pieces of art that I make. They're stored mostly in clear sleeves in those totes. And I'm not super precious about the stuff, but the ones that I really like, I want to protect at least in the sleeve. It's kind of messy in the bin. You can see some of the art there on the side. And the bottom tote is the junk art. So all of the art that I'm like, okay, I liked it. It was fun to create and I learned some new things, but it's not my favorite, and I'll probably cut this up and do collage work or something else later with it. So I throw all the junk art in the bottom tote. So far, all the art that I've created over the last many years of creating workshops and stuff for myself mostly fits in those two totes and a dresser in my guest bedroom. So that's what I do with a lot of that. Some of it I frame and hang around my house. I'll be putting some more pieces above the bookcase here, and some of it I give away. It's just never been my goal to sell. And then in the rest of this closet, I've got backdrop boards, photography boards that I can pull out and photograph and do some stuff on. So that's super cool. So why don't I sell art? And let me show you a funny thing real quick before I do that. This big pancake light, which I'm standing in front of, it is gigantic. And I saw one of those and I'm like, ooh, what is that light? Because I've liked, with the photography side of it, I like to experiment with the photography equipment and the lenses and the lights and the setups and all that stuff. I love to experiment with all of that just as much as I like to experiment with all the art supplies. I'm just an experimenter. And when I saw that flapjack light, I was like, I need one of those. And I thought, yeah, how about 2 feet? And I didn't, and I knew what 2 feet is because I'm good with spatial things. But I had to, I got it and I'm like, whoa, that's so big, because it's ginormous and it's actually too big. And If I could go back now, I'd definitely get the 18-inch flapjack light, but it's amazing because this thing basically takes up no space at all. Let's just take a look at it. Let's admire how thin that light is. I mean, it's amazing. It's like basically flat. And if I didn't have the ring lights already, that's the lighting that I would have bought for my studio because it takes up no space. I mean, even less space than that ring light back there behind me. They're amazing, but 2 feet's too big. Go for like 18-inch or smaller. So why don't I sell art? It's a pain in the butt to sell art. That's why, I already work from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, basically, if I'm not filming or editing or creating or building something on a website or doing something online or chatting with people or answering questions and emails and customer service and you name it, and I'm doing it like from sun up to sundown. If I'm not doing all that, there's no extra moment of my day, really, most of the time. And to sell art, that's a whole nother set of marketing, which I already do tons of with everything that I already do. Then you got to, have packaging on hand, and you got to take the orders, and then you've got to, ship it out, get it all ready for shipping, and then go ship it out. And if you use like a print on demand service, you don't necessarily have control of the quality, or you can't sign a print to get your signature on it, and it's got its own issues with the print on demand sites like Fine Art America or Society 6 or Redbubble, any of those like that. And then there's places online that you can sell your art, like your own website and Etsy and Saatchi Art and places like that. But it's a full-time labor of love, passion project to sell art on top of everything else of creating it. And for me, filming videos and workshops and all the stuff that I already do. And it just is not how I wish to spend my time. And a lot of times, if it's a piece that I really love, I don't want to give it up. It's like my little children. And most of the pieces I'm like, who'd want to buy this anyway? And it's just, I decided a long time ago when we're at some point, we're all brand new at stuff. And we're like, oh, I'm getting good. Do you think I'm good enough to sell my art? Do you think this is good enough and people would want to buy it? Oh, I think I'm finding my style. I think I'm getting to the point where I can make something to sell. And we kind of have in our mind they were all going to be creating things, and we're going to sell 1 million of it, and we're going to be able to make a living off of making art and selling art. And let me tell you, unless you're a unicorn, you're not going to be one of the ones that sells all your art and makes a good living at that. You're going to be like the rest of us who have to slog day in and day out trying to figure out, how am I going to make a living this year with my art if I don't necessarily want to spend all my time making art. Like, you try making art full time, 7 days a week, marketing it and just seeing like how many pieces of art do you have to create to make that living. And if you average, say, $300 per piece of art, how many of those pieces of art do you have to create to equal a full-time living for yourself that's going to pay all your bills and be the equivalent of something that you could, get at a job? That's a lot of art. And at some point, you got to figure out, okay, how can I scale this up without making more of me? And, a lot of that is, then you get into prints and products. And for me, I got into workshops, digital products. I work with partners, affiliate sales, things that you really love, that you're like, ooh, I love this. And if you use my link, I'll get a couple dollars. And I really appreciate that support kind of thing, And so for me, with all the aspects of my business and all the way there is to make money with art, I decided that I didn't have to kill myself making 1 million pieces of art this year to sell it, to make that living. And that's why I choose the art aspects that I enjoy the most and that I love and that I want to share and do every day when I show up here in my studio. And you kind of got to decide that for yourself, because so many people are disappointed early on when you're like, I'm going to sell art and I'm going to be able to make a living at it. And it's so cool to have my art hanging in people's houses, which is, if that's your goal, to sell your art and have it hanging in people's houses, that's the perfect reason to be selling your art. Do I care if my art's selling in people's houses? Not really ever been my goal. So not what I have, sought You could also be in galleries, and then the galleries could be helping sell the art, but then you split the price of that piece of art with the gallery. There's just so much in the selling of the art that I'd rather not deal with. When I enjoy the making of the videos, the making of the art, the testing the supplies, the experimenting, the getting excited with the experimenting and not really feeling the pressure of having to create something amazing. That's the part that I enjoy and the way that I decided to go in my business. So that's why I don't sell art. It's just not what I've ever wanted to do. And I did early on with the photography put those up on some sites to sell because I thought, ooh, look how good these are. And now I look back at that photography and I think those are terrible. You really got to decide, when you're like, I'm going to sell this, who is your market? Who's going to buy that? Would you buy that if you saw that up on a website for sale or in a store? Would you buy that? Who is it that you think is going to buy what it is that you're selling? It's more likely that your mama is going to be the one to buy it, because you could go to my mama's house when she was still here, before she passed away, and there'd be a piece of my art in every room of her house. But that's it. That's the only people that would buy your art, especially early on in the journey. So until you figure business things out and you learn some marketing and you've already grown an audience, don't think that you're going to be able to put your art up on a lot of the sites and just like, if you put it there, they will come. It doesn't work that way. I hate to be like a tough love bubble burster. When everybody's like, you could sell your art, I'm like, maybe. And I'd have a much better time at it now, 12 years into my creative business with the large audience that I have grown, than I did early on. But it's not my goal anymore. I like to play and experiment and just see how things are and enjoy the fun aspect of it without the pressure. So anyway, that's why I don't sell art. It's just not what I ever strived for. I keep moving around a little bit so you can admire the different corners of the room. This is my favorite wall currently. I love walking in and looking at all the books on the shelves. So last thing I want to kind of chat with, because I have people ask me all the time, why did I pick Skillshare to share my art classes? So my business has been a photography business since 2012. And about 3 years ago, I started kind of mingling in the art workshops and really heavily focusing more on the art as a change up for myself, because I was getting a bit burned out on all the photography stuff after a decade of doing it day in and day out and really working hard on just producing every day all the time. And you'll get burned out if you don't take breaks. And I didn't take a break for 10 years. And I thought I need to now expand a little bit and decide, what can I do that's going to keep me excited about having a creative business, because I don't think I have any job skills to go back to a regular job anymore. So I'm like, what can I do to keep myself excited? And so art workshops were the direction I decided to go back into, because I'd already dabbled with it for a while and I've done art my whole life. And there's so many creative artists in my family that it's just it just felt natural, like a natural segue. And it's a different audience than a photography audience, unfortunately. And it's a whole different set of supplies and things that you're going to have to get to do one hobby versus the other. And so I decided that I would partner with Skillshare so that I could build on their gigantic audience for the art offerings. And so I do offer the art workshops on my own website, but because I've been building that art catalog for 3 years on Skillshare, it's ginormous. And you can get such an amazing price for a year of Skillshare versus buying individual classes on, say, my website. And so for now, that's still the choice that I decide to do. I like making the classes for Skillshare. It's easy to upload them to their site and have a beautiful professional looking presentation. They handle all the back-end website stuff, which is so nice when you're doing your own website, because if my website's built on WordPress, which is not as user-friendly as some of the other options that are available now, but that's where I started 12 years ago. And it's a pain to do all the web work, and I can just upload to their site and it's like a relief that it's done and I don't have to do anything to the back end. So from a webmaster point of view, it's just convenient and easy, and they have such a large audience that it's really helped me expand and grow the art segment of my business so much better than I ever could have, relying on things like Facebook and Instagram. And then adding the YouTube in there has just really skyrocketed it. And a lot of people, I see all these videos, tell you a little side story again, I see all these videos of people are like, how much did I make after a year of YouTube? And it's not a lot. Ad partner program on YouTube, if you get to the point that you're monetized, it's not a lot of money. It's anywhere from $2 to $20 per 1,000 views. So 1,000 people have to watch my video before I might get $2 in ad revenue. So it's not like it's a whole lot. And my ad revenue has ranged anywhere from $8 to $17, depending on if it was November or January. So just in case you're wondering. So on YouTube, that means in the ad partner program, maybe in January, I might make $1,000. And maybe in November, when all the ad people have their money to spend for Black Friday and Christmas and everything, I might make $2,000. But that's a lot of work. And over 200 at this point, over 200 videos that I've got posted to make $1,000 a month, so obviously that's not going to pay anybody's bills. And I see a lot of people comment below videos where people have their, here's what I made for this many views, or here's what I made in the month or whatever, that people are like, oh, YouTube's totally not worth it. Why would you do that for so little pay? And then I'm thinking, you're missing the point of why you would do something like a YouTube. It's kind of a lost leader, if you're into business things. It's that thing you put out there, say for free or for very low money, and you hope that that then leads to much larger sales or more customer loyalty, or it brings more people to you that normally would not have been attracted to you for whatever reason, because of cost or what have you, or they just don't know you. So it's a way to build a relationship with, possibly a billion people, because there's a ton of people on YouTube. And so YouTube for me isn't just, oh, I'm going to make a living as a YouTuber. It's an avenue to direct people to the other things that I may be excited about. So it may be to my art workshops, or it may be a good way to introduce you to products that I get excited about. And, I know YouTube's thing is paid partner promotions and things like that. And you might wonder why, from the few that I've done that have done so well, why I don't do a whole lot more of them. And that's by choice. I don't want to be a commercial for whatever. And I only want to share with you the stuff that I'm already using, that I already love, like love. So the couple that I've done I've put a video up for Sketchbox with the yummy graphite watercolors, and then I just did, as of this video, we just did a collaboration with the Masha's watercolors. And these are things that you've already seen me use in a dozen videos and get excited about, and I brag about them because I'm like, I truly love these things, and they weren't paid partnerships or anything. Most of the stuff that I use, I buy myself. People don't give to me. And then at some point, those companies became aware of, hey, this lady's sending a lot of traffic our way, let's check her out. And then they got so excited watching the videos that they're like, hey, you want to do like a your favorites kind of collaboration? And stuff like that is super fun, because I'm like, heck yeah, I already love your product, I'm already using it, it's already exciting, I'd love to have a Denise Love set or whatever. And so that's why you'll see a couple pop up here and there. But the paid ads in the middle of the videos, if you're thinking of doing videos, or you already do videos and you're watching my blog, most of those are not in your favor. If you've got I had an offer from a company that I worked with, and their ad office contacted me and said, hey, we want you to do a paid promotion in the middle of your YouTube video. We're going to offer you $200 to do it, because your audience is around 20,000 people at that time. So in my mind, I'm guessing they're thinking $100 per 10,000 people. And we want you to sign this big long contract that says that you got to leave that video up for a year, and we get 2 rights of refusal. So you got to send that ad to us, your video to us, before you post it, and we get to make you redo it 2 times if we don't like the way you did it the first time. And you can't work with any competing competitors of ours for 3 months. It's exclusive only to us once you do this video with us and sign this contract. And I was like, that sounds like an employee, like I'm your employee. That sounds too much like hard work for no money. And I was an affiliate for this company also that I would be promoting, and my affiliate link would have paid me more than $200 off of a video that I might post. Maybe I'll make $500 that month instead of the $200. And you know, it's one of those things where, you know, so many people could click this link and get this deal with the contract one that I'm thinking, so you're going to make $100,000 off of me if that many people clicks it, and I'm only going to get $200 of that. That sounds like a terrible deal. So if you're in YouTube and you're a partner already and you're thinking of doing brand partnerships, if you don't have a ginormous audience like 1 million people or whatever, it's kind of not in your favor. It's in their favor, and it's really not worth it. You'd do better doing affiliate sales to things that you love, or supplies that you're using, or, you know, partners that you can partner with in different ways about something that you're already talking about. Those are better for you in the long run. Just thought I'd throw that out there, because I don't know that people understand how those partnerships work. They're not in your favor unless you're so big you command a lot of money to do them. And I'd rather not do that. I want my audience to trust what I'm talking about. I want to show them the things I'm excited about. I want to go on different paths with them and get them excited about testing things and trying stuff out. And when they get something that I might have recommended or that I love, I want them to love it just as much as I do. And so I choose not to take most of the offers that come my way. So I hope you enjoyed this little studio tour. Last little roundabout look here. I did not change up my desk wall here. That's where I film a lot of welcome videos. It's a desk space that I can work at if I want to. And I didn't really change up this corner in this big studio change up. And if you made it all the way to the end with me, thank you so much. Thank you for hanging out with me on my channel. I love you guys. Cannot wait to see you next time. And if you've got some questions or things that you're interested in that I didn't cover in this video, definitely drop those below. And maybe that could be a Q&A for another time. Maybe I'll do more of these. It really depends. You know, I don't know about art blogging, and some people love them and some people don't. So just kind of depends on if enough people have some questions and want me to answer some other stuff. So drop those below if you got any other questions, and I'll see you guys next time.